Hello, viewers. It's Sentai Michael from Screen Review, bringing you a new podcast from my subject called The Super Sentai Review. And like always, I'm going to speak very loudly, very clearly, and very slowly in case you understand me. Also, I'll try to do my best not to reach your heart during this audio podcast recording as well, not to cause any audio feedback as well. And finally, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will contain your adult language. Once again, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will contain your adult language if you're under 18. Now, if you're over 18, then you should get to watch this audio podcast recording. With this and everything else out the way, let's get into the latest episode of Donbrothers. So basically, this episode starts off like this. We start off at Yoshi's house. He was getting his hair, he was getting his hair cut by his wife Miyako. And basically, before he goes to work. So basically, he was kind of nervous that he had to learn this big deal for at his job and whatnot. So anyway, then we cut to Hara, the Yellow Ranger working at the cafe that was owned by Black Kaido. So basically, Haruka noticed that there was this sketch artist, was doing a sketch. She thought that the sketch artist was drawing a sketch of her. So basically, she asked Black Kaido, I'm not comfortable with that sketch artist drawing a sketch of me. So basically, can I tell him to stop? And Black Kaido was like, sure, go ahead. Go ahead. So basically, when she was about to confront the dude, turns out the sketch artist was doing a sketch picture of Black Kaido, not her. So basically, she tried to. She was kind of disappointed. She was kind of disappointed that that her boss is the one that the sketch artist been drawing this whole time. So anyway, she tried to try to charm the sketch artist to draw a sketch picture of her instead. But he was he was kind of annoyed by her, and he just stumbled out and left. But turns out the sketch artist was one of the people that somehow and his two comrades affected with a Naho monster. So basically, there's a Naho monster trying to take over the sketch artist's body that somehow and his comrades use their powers to affect him with a Naho monster trying to take over his body. So anyway, as of right now, none of the bad guys know what the Rangers look like outside their Ranger form. So basically, none of the Rangers don't know what. So basically, none of the bad guys know what the Rangers look like. Don't know their identities. Now, as for the Rangers know who the bad guys are, only Haruma, the Yellow Ranger, knows that Sunai is Sunai's identity outside his warrior mode. So basically, Hakura knows that Sunai is a bad guy after seeing him transform into his warrior mode and whatnot. So anyway, and as of right now, none of the other Rangers knows that Isbar is the Black Ranger. So basically, the other Rangers don't know that Isbar is the Black Ranger, and Isbar doesn't know that any of the other Rangers know. He doesn't know any of the other Rangers either. Doesn't know any of the other Rangers' identities either at this point. So anyway, we see Son Omi, asking questions about love because she, just like her comrades, just like her other two comrades, they're typically sets over certain human emotions. So basically, Son Omi is just about it's just about love, trying to figure out how love works. Samza is just about about human laughter and trying to figure out how that works. As for Sunai, he's just about helping people and trying to and figure out how helping people works and whatnot. So anyway, so basically, Sun Army was like talking to this guy about love and whatnot, and basically, and she got bored with him and basically tried to leave, but he started to get handsy on with Sun Army, and lucky that Isbar showed up before, just gently, tell him to go, and don't put your hands on a lady. So basically, lucky that he showed up, because it seemed like some Omi was about to really do some damage. So basically, so they started to talk outside the cafe, in a different cafe, outdoors and whatnot. So anyway, Agency was there at the next table and saw Isabel talking to talking to Sun Omi and whatnot. Just like this time she did with the other dude, she got bored with Isabel and just laughed. And basically, and that's when HFC took the opportunity to talk to Isabel and apologize for about the whole situation and whatnot, about the whole situation, you being infused, me trying to show you out to the cops and whatnot. So anyway. Basically, we see Shinji using his ranger powers to helping some kids out and whatnot. Anyway, then we cut to three guys trying to break into Momotaro's delivery van. Lucky Momotaro is like hey, spot the guy trying to break into his delivery van, hey, well, you got to turn the steer for me. So basically, the guy's like, yes, we're gonna take your packages and sell them, and also we're gonna take your money as well. So basically, before Momotaro did anything, we see some eyes came out of nowhere and helped out Momotaro. At this point, like I said, so basically Momotaro doesn't know that Sunai is a bad guy because he never, and Sunai doesn't know that Momotaro is a ranger. So anyway, so basically, Sunai just, used just one finger to beat bad guys, and basically, Momotaro grabbed the leader of the guy that was trying to steal from him and told him that you should leave. So anyway, and Sana said that you could like you could have took those bad guys out easily. So basically, and Motaro said, I don't believe in using violence against people unless it's necessary. So anyway, they started to and so somebody said well, you're a strange one, and to start and Motaro saw you. So basically, and somebody laughed, and Motaro went back on his delivery, went back to his packages. So basically, but meanwhile, somewhere in the park, we see Isbar and Yoshi talking about, we see Isbar talking to Yoshi. Turns out that Isbar does have a wife, getting more details about Isbar. So basically, I had a wife, this park, this is the park that I opposed my wife in. And it turns out that Yoshi also opposed to his wife here as well. So they kind of had something in common and whatnot. So basically, that's what Yoshi. I know that you're a fugitive and all, but my wife does make a good home. you could use a good home cooked meal. And anybody saying that, like you said, on the physics, so basically you can get in trouble for fighting over your crib and whatnot, because I don't want to freeze it. So basically, well, this is, well, I'm going to twist that, because you seem like it's pretty clear that whatever, it seems like you're a nice guy, whatever is going on with your situation, it's pretty clear you're no criminal. So basically, so basically it just took Edward home for dinner and waited for his wife, waited for Edward's wife, and then waited for Josie's wife. But turns out that the sketch artist that's being taken control of by the Naka monster kidnapped Leo, Monaco, his wife. So basically, the monster kidnapped the Pink Ranger's wife, and hold her captive. But using her color, but she managed to get away from the sketch artist that's being taken control by the Naho monster. So basically, HRC got worried that that his wife didn't came home yet, and he decided to go looking for her. And Ezra said, "You know what? You go look for your wife. I have to go. I don't want to." I don't want to get you any further trouble. So anyway, it's all left. HOT one into his wife that was from the sketch artist being controlled by the Naho monster. So basically, she was, Leo passed out from one from the sketch artist that's now fully controlled by the Naho monster. So basically, HOT was super pissed that the Naho monster who took control of the sketch artist kidnapped his wife, and he started to fight him in ranger mode. So anyway, then we cut to see Sonai and Mobutawa once again crossing paths, and crossing paths and saw that a building was on fire. So basically, working together, they managed to save the people from the burning building, and that's when some I say that the world will be a better place for people who have greed in heart will be the end of this world. And basically, don't you agree with that? And Motaro said, I do agree with that. And that's when for a moment there was kind of suspicious. They kind of stare at each other like kind of suspicious of each other. So basically, Motaro was thinking that this guy is it's his enemy, and somehow is saying that this guy must be a ranger because they did fight each other while they was in their different they did fight each other in their different forms and whatnot. So anyway, they went their separate ways after that. So anyway, so basically Josie, was honing on against the monsters, but a bunch of foot Josie showed up, and basically the other Freak Rangers, that's when Mobutawa didn't show up, or the other Rangers showed up, except for Mobutawa, because he always comes late on the scene, being a big show-off and whatnot. So anyway, and that's when Sunai showed up on his motorcycle set up on his motorcycle and transform into his warrior mode and start to attack attack the Rangers. So basically now the other Rangers saw Sunlight transform into his warrior mode. Now they know that now the other Rangers know that Septimo now knows that Sunlight is one of the bad guys. So anyway, Moto showed up being a big hero as usual. Basically started to battle Sunlight while the others did with the foot soldiers and the monster. So basically, using a bunch of Avatar gears, he transformed into the listening into the zoo archer transform into different Red Rangers and got the upper hand and get Sun Eye. So basically, that's been Motel, when he got somehow on the road, he decided to start to take the opportunity to use his morpher to separate the Naho monster from the sketch artist. Instead, so basically, Don Moto is about to use his morpher to save the sketch artist from the Naho monster that took control of the sketch artist's body. So anyway, but that's it. He stopped him and let somehow destroy the monster along with the sketch artist that the Naho monster took control of, and basically this Washington got deleted in some black virtual world somewhere. So basically, after somehow destroyed the Naho monster, that took control of the sketch artist, he left, and so did the foot soldier. So basically, it shows he was like, like he was so pissed off that he was so pissed off, even though it was not the sketch artist's fault, it was the Naho monster. He said that person did not deserve to be saved. So basically, it shows he made it clear to himself that as long as I'm a ranger, I will let nobody harm my wife. So basically, he's like he doesn't care. He doesn't care that if you're a good person or a bad person. He's like his only goal is to protect his wife while he's a ranger. So anyway. So after the Naho monster and the sketch artist dude got destroyed by Sunlight, another Avatar gear appeared as part of Black Kaido. Turns out it was the Kill Measure gear. So basically, the monster was based off the Kill Measure. So basically, and the episode ended on this note. With H.O.T. swearing, having dinner with his wife, swearing that promising himself that nothing will happen to his wife as long as he's a ranger, and basically this is how the episode ended on that note. So anyway, this was kind of, I gotta say, it's Yoshi. This episode was kind of shocking. This episode was kind of shocking to me. But, it was a good shock. It was a good shock for a change in Sentai. So anyway, what do you guys think about this episode? Good, bad, or just okay? Please let me know with the comments below. Anyway, sign off. 1.